This is what this product looks like now, what we call the Titan AAA. And of course we use his name because that works, and so on. Okay, and so you can see well, we have a proximal stent. That is what goes above the renals. Okay, and then we only have to use two sizes instead of having the competition has a 22, a 23, a 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, etc., etc. Okay, we have only two sizes that you can one adjust with the balloon from 22 to 28 and another one from 28 to 34. That makes a big difference. Okay, because instead of having 15 products sitting on the shelf there and sometimes not having the right size, you have ours and you can adjust it to the size that you need, etc., etc. That's a great advantage. The second one is that we then took the radial strength of the palmas, which was a proven product, and said we need to have as much radial strength on this product as it is with the palmas. Therefore, that is one of our considerations for making this a stent. But it shouldn't foreshorten. Okay? This is made by a company in Germany called Meko. And we have another company in Ohio called Norman Noble, who also can make it for us as well. Okay? And so, and then this graft here is made for us by Cardial, which is part of Sierra Bard, a $10 billion company, which is also very interested in us anyway. Okay? And but this is our design. We made the machine to make this a velour surface, like a velour ring. As the machine makes a velour, a raised surface, and then the rest is smooth. And the reason for that is that we want that when it's applied against the wall to create a good seal and to heal against the wall. Now, we also had another problem that we feel the competition has, that by having a complete mesh goes all the way through, sometimes this wire sits in front of the renal arteries and the blood goes through there and creates turbulence. And when it creates turbulence, you got a problem because you are accumulating clots into your kidneys. And so the only way around that is that you have to take heavy doses of anticoagulants to keep your blood thin. Okay, otherwise this thing can go anywhere and block up all your legs and create problems on your head, etc., etc. Okay, so we created a section in here that is an opening so that when the blood flows through here, it can go into the renals without having a piece of mesh, a piece of metal sitting in front of it. Okay. Now, then the next thing, so there's no metal over the renal axis. Okay. The next one is that we had two areas of fixation to prevent it from actually migrating. This is above the renals, and there is another area of fixation which is below the renals. So this is like two stents in one, tied up by these columns in here. Okay, and then this fabric here has, see, the infrarenal section to balloon. In other words, one of the magnificent features of here is that the doctor can say, well, I need to expand this to 27 millimeter on the top, but at the bottom this thing tapers, so I need only 24 at the bottom. And you can do that with this stent because it's not like the self-expanding that goes boom and it's what we call fire and forget, it stays open. In this case you can model it because you can adjust this to, let's say, to 27, and you can use the bottom section with the balloon to 24. So that is much better than having something that goes from overexpanding this by as much as 20%. That's not good at all either. You know what I mean? To overexpand the artery, which was diseased and is very weak, and you don't want to put that much pressure into it. Okay. Now, the next thing is that we have a sealing ring. Like I explained to you, that sealing ring is part of the fabric. It's not an add-on. It's done by machine. And this is part of our patent here. Okay. The second one is that we have a natural tapered. In other words, we don't sew the walls. We don't have a fabric to sew it and make a tube that is tapered. we have a tube that comes out of the machine already tapered. Okay. In this case, for example, if this is a 28 millimeter, this will be a 22 millimeter here, and actually these legs here are 12 millimeter. Okay. This is all done, comes out of the machine, already done automatically. The next one, we have the typical graft used in surgery does not have a metal mesh inside. What they have is a crimp, and that crimp, what it does is prevents it from kinking, and that's exactly what we do. All right. Then we have a hip stent to make this area stable and to prevent it from kinking, and we have also what we call an ipsilateral stent in here. One goes against the other to prevent it from kinking when it goes down, because in this area here, now you're getting into the lower section, so as you do like this, you are very capable of kinking that tube and interrupting blood flow. So you want to maintain the integrity of that tube to make sure that it remains open.
Open, yeah.
Okay, and so this is stainless steel, this is nitinol. Now, this is inside, so it's in blood contact with the blood, but this is outside, there's no contact with the blood here whatsoever. Okay? Now, so our approach was to use a balloon expandable, inflatable, to enable the doctor to adjust, based on the needs of the patient, So there are two sizes only. A proximal stent with a radial force equal or greater to the palmar stent. Why? Because this was the golden standard. Okay, this is what people know, and we wanted to match that. Okay, consider the golden standard without the extreme foreshortening of the same. A clear path to the renal arteries, so that we don't have anything occluding the path of the blood into the arteries. An integral sealing ring to minimize the potential for type 1 leaks and to provide rapid healing. Why? Because it's veloured and the body will cover it very quickly and it will adhere to it, A combination of a suprarenal and infrarenal fixation allows for the modeling of each section to the needs of the patient. In other words, you can have 27 millimeter or 28 on the top. You may only need to have 24, 23 on the bottom. As an example, let me go back here to this picture. You can see here that you may have a size here, let's say 20 some, right? But this is tortuous here. You may need a size less than that. The typical self-expanding stent, let's say, is 28 millimeter. You will open up to 28. You cannot change it because it's self-expanding. Boom, opens up to, and that's the figure that you're going to have. But in our case, we can adjust the size here, and then we can lower the balloon, and we can adjust the size here to the need of the doctor, which is more user-friendly. It's more accurate. You got the sealing ring. You got the velour surface in there to make it. In other words, it's all common sense. What we built into this. Okay. Now, the next thing was the absence of metal cage in the body of the graft to prevent the erosion of the polyester over time, creating a potential type 3 leak. Okay, because I'm not interested in not only the short-term results in here. I'm interested that this device is good for 25 years or whatever it is. So we do a lot of testing that relates to fatigue. At what point this metal, any metal, is like an airplane, a wing of an airplane, it's going to fatigue. Okay? So I want to know to what extent. So what we did with the proximal stent is that we built a stent that, by virtue of its thickness, the electropolishing qualities of what we do to the material to avoid the corrosion factor, because it's very important. If it corrodes in the body, you for sure it's going to fail. Okay, so there's a lot of things involved in just saying even the metal in here, and I will show you later how we accomplish this. Okay, now the crimp body of the graft, the crotch of the graft is supported by a helicoidal isocolateral nitinol stent to provide more stability and to reduce the potential for kinking. I'm doing here, and if I have a stent, I can kink it. And you're going to feel your legs very quickly, and you're going to have to move back again, And we have people, for example, who had this operation and start playing golf and all that, and they feel it. Once they go this swing, they can actually kink those legs, unless you have, you are overseeing this kind of problem, and it has a unibody lens. That means that we took an average of 100 patients, and then we decided which was the correct size. And of course, we asked Dr. Parodi, we asked all these people, exactly, are you in agreement with this? And they all signed up on it. Okay, so, right.